boys and girls, Mike Lindsay here. Gonna start construction on my layout. Finally came up with a track plan and decided that I'm gonna do something along the lines of the Denver and New Orleans owning a piece of the old Denver and Intermountain in the late 80s, early 90s. We'll see how interesting that ends up looking. But right now we're in the very, very beginning of the construction phase, starting with raw materials. I've got some 3/4 inch CD plywood, which will be ripped into 3.5 inch strips in lieu of 1x4s. I've got a couple of 7/16 OSB sheets to serve as the underlayment for 2-inch foam blue board, which will make up the layout top. And this is by no means the complete list. This is just a quick bit that I bought to get myself started. There'll be plenty more of this stuff, but at $20 per slice there, it's not cheap. Seems like anytime you want to build a train layout, somebody wants to take all your money, not just some of it. And then for the legs, no, I'm not using 2x4s. I'm actually going to rip these into 1.5 by 1.5 slices. I tried to get regular 2x2s for the legs, but those things were so warped. It was like looking at a bowl of spaghetti. So instead, I'm going to take these 2x4s. I'm not going to rip them dead in half because at 3.5 inches wide, it's not going to make an even 2x2, and I don't want the thing kind of Y warping on me. So I'm thinking if I shave the outside edges off of it first, take a 1/4 inch off of each side, and then rip it down the middle, I might have a better chance of it not warping into kind of this weird little retarded fleur-de-lis. So anyway, we'll fire up the old table saw and get things started. Okay, so step one is done. We successfully ripped a sheet of 3/4 inch into the some of the pieces I need to start the first section of the table. So I've got my end plates here, 1 foot and 2 foot for the first module, and then 2 foot and 3 foot for the second. Plus I've got a bunch of the 2x4s that I've lopped into 2x2s here for the table legs. For those interested, they are 40 inches long. The intent is that the benchwork height is going to be about 41 inches, and then with 2 laminated pieces of foam board making the sub-road bed, we'll make the tabletop height 45 inches. I'm doing this in a style similar to what Ken Patterson does, where you have laminated foam layout sections that can be easily moved, taken off the layout, taken outside for photography and what have you. And so the supporting table is really just that, just a funny looking table, hence the OSB for the top. I wouldn't lay track or cork directly onto that, but like I said, it's just there to hold up the foam. And I also got some really cool, if you watch episode 41 of What's Neat This Week that Ken Patterson does for Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine .com, I believe, online magazine, check it out. He showed recently a really cool method for running feeder wires through the foam to a control panel mounted into a hole cut in the front of the laminated foam layers. So I thought that was pretty slick, so I'm going to give that a try as well. But yeah, that's what we've got going on so far. Now I'll start slapping some of this stuff together. Alrighty, so we see the first part of the one of the first modules is done. This is an 8-footer that goes from 1 foot on this end to 2 feet on this end, and the next one will continue along that theme. As you can kind of see with this sheet of plywood, it'll be 7-footer that goes from 2 feet to 3 feet in a 4-foot length. Same as you see here. This goes from 1 foot to 2 feet inside of 4 feet, making it effectively a number 4 switch angle, which will help as I'm laying out the yard. I'm using number 6 switches, but the track angles are going to be number 4. So that'll So yeah, over the 8-foot span between the two modules, it'll kick out from 1 feet to 3 feet, which is why I'm not making the bench work too high, so I can still be able to reach as I need to. So, you can see how I framed it out. I just did a continuous 1x8 box with cross members 16 inches on center, and they kind of serve as both cross bracing and riser. So if I need to level things out, I can remove the screws and kind of adjust things as needed to keep the top level. So there's just a tiny little gap there where I'll be able to run wiring if I need to, and so on and so forth. So, although, like I said, I'm going to try the Ken Patterson method, so I might not even need to run wiring through this. So we'll see how that goes. But yep, that's the first one, and already have the OSB top on it. So kind of, well, that's terrible for the light. So is that. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and put the cat away, and I can carry this inside, and we'll be able to move on to the next one.